With the help of a table, sand and light, these guys create entire stories. But this is not the full toolkit. The most important thing is the hands of the artist, the painter who creates illuminated tables of mysterious images that flow into each other, image from which it is impossible for one to take their eyes off. Today we will meet Ukrainian craftsmen of sand animation who are capable of presenting truly amazing and magical images to the viewing audience. I draw with sand because it soothes my soul. It brings me joy and it heals the souls of people. What I am doing is a tremendous pleasure for me. It's about new discoveries for me, as this is an unknown world and it's my way to some unknown country, a fabulous place where discoveries are waiting for me. Sand animation, or sand casting, is the altering of static drawings, one by one, and its interest is that we find some detail in one drawing and transform it into another, so that a beautiful story comes out. The first time sand animation was shown to the public audience was in 1969 by the artist Caroline Leaf, who showed the animation of Peter and the Wolf. In Ukraine, well, we all know about the finalist of Ukraine Has Talent, Ksenia Simonova, who won the show. But in fact, sand animation already existed long before the show. And here it probably must be divided into two directions. The first is called game therapy, where by using sand animation and drawings, we help children in the development of their motor skills and probably their logical thinking. And the second direction is the direction of the show. Before I became an artist, I was a DJ, so I was already in show business, playing on vinyl records and then on compact discs. I probably decided to get into sand animation simply due to the boredom, some 7 years ago, or slightly more. It just happened that I broke my leg, and I needed to be treated for a very long time, and I had to undergo surgery so that I could walk again. And in order not to just lie in bed, I took a sheet of glass, put a lamp under it, and began drawing. Of course, I began to copy artists who were at that moment working in Ukraine. I became friends with my present colleagues and started calling teachers at the Kyiv Polytechnic Institute and the Institute of Graphics, asking them to provide me with some kind of literature for self-study. And now, lying on the stretcher, I drew and drew. And after that, I naturally fell in love with this art form. I left everything I had done before and became an artist.
Я художник, и, естественно, каждый художник...
I am an artist, and naturally, every artist is always looking for something new. Sand animation is only a means of expression of an artist. It's simply a means, just like paint. This is what caught my interest. At first we tried, and it turned out that the world of sand animation is extensive and unexplored, and gives such beautiful graphics and effects, which are difficult to create on paper. On sand, you can experiment, and an image appears very quickly, and you see the results of your creative ideas.
И это происходит быстро, ты видишь сразу же результат. Вначале я познакомилась со своей очень близкой подругой.
In the beginning, I met my very close friend, and today we're a partner. She showed me this method of drawing. She was the first to get involved in it, and at the start, we just studied, drew, watched, and shot videos. Then we took part in a project, made fairy tales in a production studio, and filmed around 15 oriental fairy tales for the eastern countries. And then we saw how beautiful it is, how interesting it is. And then a project we called Sandy Theater was conceived. And today we're making fairy tales in real life time.
То есть мы сейчас делаем сказки в живом времени.
Мне стало интересно, как художнику, попробовать этот.
I became interested as an artist to try this unique method of drawing. Together with Olya, we started drawing fairy tales a long time ago. First, we made sand videos about love, and then we shot oriental fairy tales. We did only video. And just recently, 2 years ago, we tried to work in real time.
Назад попробовали работать в реальном времени.
Для того, чтобы рисовать песком, нам, конечно же, в первую очередь нужен песок.
In order to draw with sand, the first component is naturally sand. It can be of any kind, but the main thing is that it's clean. We can draw with anything: flour, ground coffee, everything that spills or can lie on a table and have at least some kind of air gaps or lucidity. We draw on ordinary glass.
Рисуем мы на обычном стекле. Украинский художник, так как и украинский любой, наверное, артист.
A Ukrainian painter, like any Ukrainian artist, is distinguished by talent, passion and desire. We really want to create. And fact that in any place we travel around the world, we always meet our native Ukrainian on the stage is confirmation of this.
Мы на сцене всегда встречаем нашего родного украинца.
We draw a mood we see here and now, and wherever we are, regardless of what part of a country we are in, or what part of the globe we're in. There is a theme, here and now. Then there is a mood, and accordingly,
тема здесь и сейчас. Есть настроение.
The audience already comes tuned into this mood.
Настроен на это настроение.
I cannot tell about my favorite topics, though I can say I do not like drawing one and the same thing. My first performance was more than 7 years ago in kindergarten. I acted when I was on crutches. I was already on my feet, and I had to learn to walk again, and I was invited to kindergarten. It was unbelievably scary. Children are the toughest audience. There are those viewers that will never lie and will never applaud if they do not like what they see. And of course, I went out, my hands were trembling. The sand spread out in different directions, but it came up. And I took a half-a-minute pause before the finale of the performance, and I heard the first applause. This half a minute was eternity for me, and I did not know where to go. That is, to leave the stage, or fall through the floor, or run and hide somewhere. But there were applause, and it was great.
Но аплодисменты были, было здорово.
It's hard to say what work is my favorite. They're all my favorite, especially those that were charged with energy. This was our wonderful concert, Sleeping Beauty, with the Kiev Chamber Orchestra and Lilia Lebrick, who read this fairy tale, and I drew with sand. And there was an animation on the water of Angelina Zolota, and here the combination of us on stage made a wonderful fairy tale, which adults and children came to watch, and everyone took a piece of our soul for themselves. After the concert, they clapped so loudly that we gave an encore.
Но после концерта так хлопали, что отдали намного больше.
Первые выступления были наши очень волнительные.
Our first performances were very emotional. This is very scary because you need to focus as much as possible and realize that each of your movements can spoil the image. My hands were trembling, and it was very difficult to draw his eyes because the hands were walking on a walker, and you need to hit the exact point. And that happened.
Точку, и такое было.
The most delightful experience was working with the orchestra. When we were working with a live orchestra, we painted a little sketch for each composition. At the start, it was very difficult, because in 2 or 3 minutes, it was necessary to give it an essence and draw a picture from the beginning to the end. But it turned out to be very interesting.
Но получилось очень интересно.
Меня вдохновляет И идеи, наверное,
I am inspired, and ideas probably come from everyday life. For example, I leave the studio and go home on foot, not on public transport.
А иду пешком.
When it gets boring, you sit in a car, you go and take fellow travelers, absolutely different people, hop into my car, tell about different things, and it is interesting. When you give a person a free ride, bring them to point B, and had a great talk along the way, then I return to the studio and draw the person's story. What did he or she experience that
Что он
day?
пережил в этот день?
Конечно, бывают моменты, когда жалко менять картинку, разрушать картинку.
Of course, there are moments when it's a pity to alter or destroy the picture, but over time it is gone. It's even easier to deal with this in order to hone your craftsmanship, because in live performance you need to work precisely and be totally focused. Doing so, many different pictures, of course you forget about the fact that they cannot be ruined or they should somehow be fixed.
Они должны быть как-то зафиксированы.
You can learn to draw with sand in special artistic studios. There are sand animation studios and a lot of them here in Kiev. I know of 3 of them to be precise. There are a lot of them in Kharkiv. There is a wonderful artist named Dasha Pushankina who began to teach people. Then they dispersed all over Kharkiv and began holding their specialized courses.
Конечно же, можно так, как я.
Of course, you can be like me. Just desire time to study, to study, to study. But books on graphics get interested in teaching at universities and then transfer it to sand. The techniques are very various.
И потом переносить это на песок, потому что техника очень разная.
What we draw in sand cannot always be drawn using a pencil.
For
me, the most difficult probably was the choice of material. Because sand is not just sand, it is different. It spills in various ways, it jumps out of the glass in various ways, and it is electrified in various ways. And it was hard to find my own sand, and I would say that I had studied for 6 months, but I finally found my sand, probably a year later.
Для меня было открытием, что оказывается в мире столько разных.
For me, it was a discovery, and as it turns out, there are so many different types of sands in the world. They are of different colors, and they have different properties and different fractions. Of course, it was interesting to try all of them, and with different sand, you can create totally different effects. We chose sand on our own that we work with on the show, and we have sand that is only suitable for video works. Each artist chooses his own sand.
Да, каждый художник, наверное, выбирает свой песок.
Братство песочной анимации.
Brotherhood of sand animation. All are good, all are cool. There are guys who treat their colleagues as competitors, and there are guys who treat their colleagues as relatives. And of course, there are more kind and sympathetic people.
И, конечно, больше добрых и отзывчивых людей.